Everyone, I am Mohammad Tanvir Khurshid, PMP certified engineer with over 22 years of experience in oil and gas project. Today, I am launching my new channel, Project Professional, and coming up with a topic, a very interesting topic on grassroots refinery project, planning, construction, and challenges. Before going into the depth, let me first explain what is a refinery. So a refinery is a facility, a process plant or a plant where the crude is processed into various usable products. So as we know that we have defined the refinery now, and the grassroots refinery. What is a grassroots refinery? A grassroots refinery is a refinery constructed right from the scratch, and then constructed, commissioned, and brought into the operation. The capacity of the refinery is stated in kilo barrel per stream day or million ton per annum. Then we will elaborate further on the component of the refineries and also the product of the refineries. Now we'll define refinery components. A refinery comprises of process units which are licensed and open art, flares, utilities like steam, cooling water, plant air, instrument air, nitrogen, etc. Then a pipe rack which carries the pipe connecting different units, different systems. Then tank farm which have the storage tanks which stores crude, which stores the product, which stores firefighting water, etc. Then we have a firefighting system, and it consists of firefighting network. The laboratory is another component. Then we have a warehouse where the materials, spares, chemical, catalyst, etc. are stored. Then workshop. Then another component is the control room. Then there are various buildings, office buildings, training centers, etc. Then shipping facility to ship the product. It may the product may be shipped by the land or by the sea. There are also the pipelines to ship. Then wastewater treatment plant, because we have the waste which has to be treated before being discharged. Now we will see what the refinery produces, the products of the refineries. Here are some examples of the product from a refinery. They are diesel, kerosene, gasoline, fuel gas, sulfur, naphtha, petroleum coke, reformate, alkylate, etc. Product may be the final product or the intermediate product. Like any project in oil and gas industry, a grassroots refinery project also goes through the same life cycle. The only difference is the magnitude or the size of the project and the complexity, which drives its cost, its duration. So, to elaborate further, the grassroots refinery project also goes through the initiation phase, the feasibility phase, the FEED front-end engineering and design phase, the budget approval or securing of the fund phase, the tendering phase, the implementation phase. The implementation phase may comprise of the detailed engineering, construction, and pre-commissioning. Then comes the commissioning and startup phase. then the performance testing phase, and then a warranty period of which may vary, maybe a year or something, then the close out of the project. So initiation. During this time, when the business idea comes up to set up a refinery, which may be the requirement of the product or economic requirement or investment requirement, which may be a combination or any one of the purpose. So during the initiation period, this generally it is stated that what are the probable location to set up a refinery, what would be the source of the crude, that is the feed to the refinery, what are the products which has to be which the refinery will produce, and what are the expectation of the return, what are the investment limits, etc. So once it is done, the initiation, then it goes through a feasibility study, which studies multiple options and come out with the most suitable one as per the objective of setting up the refinery. This during the feasibility, various factors are studied, which I will be putting on the board are examples, some of the few examples. The feasibility study will go through the technical aspect, financial aspect, financial aspects, market requirement, statutory requirement, environmental regulations, rules and laws applicable to the region, the stability of the region, the ease of availability of the feed and its transportation, consistency in transportation via pipeline or any other mode, the shipping requirements, and multiple of the factors which is studied, and this gives the outcome of a report, feasibility report, based on which the project moves further. Once the feasibility report, which is the recommendation which is accepted, then it goes through another very important phase, which is the front end engineering and design, which is also called the FEED. This is basically the defining phase. Now we'll move to front end engineering and design, which is called FEED, F-E-E-D. This is the defining phase of the project. It starts with the business case, process simulation, process flow diagram, heat and mass balance, and then it goes on and it produces the outputs like the scope of the work for execution of the project, the total installation cost estimate for securing the budget, the project schedule and the duration, the tendering packages and tendering strategies, the risk management plan, operating strategies, and many other documents. So during this phase, various reviews are done for the sake of the qualities, and there may be validation of the feed, the benchmarking by a third party agencies, etc. Once the feed is ready, we have the tendering packages, strategies, the cost, and the schedule, high level schedule, the duration. Then we go to line up the contractor for the implementation phase. So before moving into implementation phase, let me just remind that it's always the feasibility study and the feed are generally done by a specialized consultant especially for this magnitude and this complexity of the project, like the grassroots refinery project. So when we uh, when we have gone for the tendering, this process involves a tendering cycle, like tendering for implementation. This involves a tendering cycle and a tendering cycle for any of the tender for any type of work. This so for the implementation tendering cycle also go have the like issuance of tender document to the bidders, which the bidders, they prepare their tenders or the bids, they submit it, then the company reviews the bid, and based on the suitability including the low cost, the tender is awarded and is signed. One important thing to note in this process is that especially for a big project, complex project, not all the contractor or bidders can participate. Rather, there is a pre-qualification process uh, which I will be defining in or explaining in my other videos. Keep watching it, subscribe it. So, which I will be explaining in the other video. So, once the tender is awarded, contract is awarded and it's signed, then starts the implementation phase. Some of the points worth noting or worth mentioning are that the scope should not be implemented by one contractor, though it's not mandatory, it is a desirable option. Because it's a very complex project, very big project, it might not be good to get it implemented by one contractor, one single contractor. So it is always better that the tender packages are formed, the scope is divided into various tender packages. For example, I may give a few examples of the package formation. Maybe one package may comprise of the process units, both the open art and the process or the licensed units, which may be the crude unit, vacuum unit, hydro treating, hydro cracking, Marox, uh, sulfur recovery, etc. Then the other package may be the utilities like cooling water, steam, plant air, instrument air, etc. The third package may be like the off-site tank farms, pipe racks, underground piping, etc. Maybe next maybe like the buildings, roads, uh, fence, lighting system, etc. So it should be formed in a way that it's easy to handle for a contractor. Once the tender is signed, uh, it goes for the implementation. Implementation by various packages, and it may comprise the detail engineering, the procurement, and the construction, which may also be the pre-commissioning. So basically if we define this engineering, procurement, and construction by E, P, and C, the schedule, the higher level schedule would look like something like this. This, this generally gives a glimpse of the EPC schedule or the implementation schedule, and which is up to, say, pre-commissioning of the project. Once the construction and pre-commissioning are completed, then the project goes to the commissioning and startup phase. This phase involves a lot of coordination, alignment, and once the commissioning is completed, then we have the performance guarantee test runs, performance test runs, and based on that, after the success of that, the plant, facility, unit are accepted. Then there is a warranty period which varies, and then the close out of the project. Okay. So now I have just given the right from the initiation of the project to close out. Now I will be going a little bit more into the detail. I will be explaining or defining or elaborating on the important milestones post contract signing or the start of the implementation phase. So the important milestones are the mechanical completion, which is the point from where the pre-commissioning starts, then the provisional turnover, which is the point where the pre-commissioning completes and commissioning starts. Then we have the turnover where the completion is, where the commissioning is completed and it goes for the performance test, and then the acceptance when the performance test is successful. Then the last one, as I explained, is the close out of the project. Now we come to a very important topic in this presentation, that is the challenges during the project of grassroots refinery. So what we have done is that we have categorized the challenges as per the stages of the project, that is the challenges during the feasibility, during the FEED, during tendering, during the implementation, during pre-commissioning, commissioning, and performance testing. Noting that this type of project are full of challenges, but it should not bog us down, as we know that every challenge has solution. The only thing is that it needs to be explored. So let us explore as we move. Now what we have seen in the slides, the categorization of the challenges as per the phases of the life cycle of the project. Now I will be deliberating further on these challenges. So we'll start with the challenges during the feasibility study. During this study, the objective should be very clear. Then only the feasibility report output would be adequate or as desired. So to do the feasibility study, it's always required to be done by experienced hands, maybe the consultant, a specialized consultant who have a vast experience in this type of studies, to be lined up to do the feasibility study. Once the feasibility study is done, what we need to do is the front-end engineering and design FEED, which itself is quite challenging. Here too, it's to mitigate the challenge. Better way is always to have a specialized consultant, engineering consultant, to do the FEED. The FEED has so many outputs which include the scope of the work. So if the scope is not clear, it poses problem at the later stage. So in order that the scope is quite clear, the depth of feed has to be appropriate. Also, if the depth of the feed is appropriate, it also gives a more accuracy to the cost, and also give a good duration estimate, and also the also the when the regarding the tender packages, it affects the tender packages also. So how to ensure that the feed is adequate for the later stages of work, that the quality is good, is to have a different reviews, like PNID reviews, uh, design basis reviews, estimate and schedule assurance reviews, the cost schedule risk analysis at different point of time during the project. Then apart from there, maybe the cold eye review, the third party benchmarking. These all ensures that the output of the feed are quite as per the desire. So it makes the life easy during the later phases of the project. Once the feed is done and the funds are secured or arranged, sourced, so we go for the tendering. During the tendering, it may happen that the participation are not good. If we don't have a good participation, we do not get the good contractors, and so for this we have to have evenly balanced tendering contractual conditions, where it's a win-win situation for both the contractor and the company or the owner. Also, we have seen that there are times when the bids received are quite higher than the estimate, which may result in the seeking an additional fund, which is again a time consuming. So this challenge is uh, mitigated if we do the feed to the desired depth. So, and also all the quality checks are done, all the reviews are done. Then from here onwards, we move to the implementation phase or implementation stage, which also throws up lot of challenges. As we see that this phase comprises the detail engineering, procurement, construction, and pre-commissioning. Starting with the detail engineering, it throws up lot of documents which are generated during this stage for this type of magnitude of the project, for this complex project, which has to be reviewed. So the document drawings and all those, the generation and the review has to be strategized properly, so that it supports the procurement and later on the construction. So when it is strategized, it is mitigated, and then we go to the procurement. Procurement also have a lot of challenges, like we have to procure a long lead items which might get delayed and affect the schedule. Then we have like the inspection at the vendor location across the world, the factory acceptance tests, FAT, the integrated factory acceptance test, IFAT, then the delivery, custom clearance, etc. So to mitigate these aspects, we have to have third-party inspection agencies lined up, contract given to a third-party inspection agency. There are many specialized agencies who do the inspection on the behalf of the owner of the company. Then to deal with the custom clearance and other logistics of shipping, etc., there may be a contract with a logistics company who can handle these things on the behalf of the company. So now we will move to the construction. Before moving to construction, I would like to say that the proper package formation is quite important for the implementation of the project, as all the eggs should not be put in a same basket. So during the construction, it starts with the civil works, and this is a very important stage or the phase of the project. Though it is affected by the engineering and procurement, any delay impacts at this at the construction also, it has its own challenges. There are delays during this phase also, maybe the lack of manpower, resources, quality of the manpower, workmanship, etc. So those are to be are mitigated by the proper trade tests, etc. So once the construction is there, there are many packages. So the schedule should be prepared in a way to support the commissioning sequence, even the pre-commissioning, because as we know that there are pre-commissioning activity which are dependent on the commissioning of another systems or another units. In this slide, we see how important is the alignment. Here it shows the alignment between the pre-commissioning and the commissioning. In this slide, we see that mechanical run test of rotary equipment, which is a pre-commissioning activity. When we do it with the nitrogen, what are the systems need to be commissioned prior to it. So we see as an example that the flare system, lube oil system, instrument air system, plant air, nitrogen system, oily waste, amongst others. Now we see that how we have to align. As we see that the refinery, it comprises multiple of units, process units, utilities, tank farms, building, and other facilities. So each are interdependent. So the one of the way, as I have stated earlier, that the milestones for the construction are like mechanical completion and provisional turnover. So if we go by the unit wise or the plant wise, facilities wise, there would be multiple mechanical completion and provisional turnover milestones. So, but if we go by this at this level, it may have its own drawbacks. So as we may see that there are systems which are required to be ready before the other within a unit or within a facility. So it's better to go for the mechanical completion, pre-commissioning by system wise. That would more adequately serve the purpose. Next we see is the commissioning. The commissioning has a sequence, and it goes in a sequenced manner. So like we have to have the power, electrical power, water, utilities, then goes on the process units that also have a sequence. So in order to be everything is ready as per to support the commissioning sequence, a proper alignment right from the construction is required. If any of the element in between is missing, it may lead to delay or commissioning not at the desired as per the plan sequence, and many more issues would come. Yet another example of the alignment is to support the commissioning sequence. Here in this slide we see pipe rack carrying the streams, utilities, a crude unit, a kerosene unit, a diesel unit, a kerosene tank, diesel tank, and utilities. So if there is not an alignment in a way to support the commissioning sequence, then there are bound to be problems, delays, and cost overrun, uh, claims, disputes, etc. If any of the unit is not ready, the other unit may, or the storage facility is not ready, or the lines are not ready, so the commissioning cannot be done as per the plan, or with the 100% throughput, and it will take time to commission it with as per the requirement. So we have to go back for these things to the construction, where the construction, rather we have to go even beyond, where, because the construction is also affected by the detail engineering and the procurement. Next, we see that once the commissioning is done, the another challenge is the performance test. In order to have the performance test, all the relevant facilities or the units have to be commissioned and ready to support. So we can have the performance test at the design throughput, which is the intent of the performance test. If any facility or any unit is not there, we may not achieve the throughput, and it may delay the performance test. There are instances that performance test has to be done within a given period of time because of the constant related to the catalyst, etc. So this is another challenge which has to be dealt right from the very beginning of the project. Now with this, I would conclude my video